Spiritual Baptist conversation. Take the knowledge or pass it by. Now, in the Spiritual Baptist field, in this faith, in this walk, there's something that a word that you would hear used real regular. And that is the word call. So you might go to a party or service and you will hear somebody saying, call spirit man. Or groan. No, that is a call. Now, when you're calling, it means you want to communicate. You want to entertain. Because you want something out of it. You want something in return. Because I would not just call someone for no reason. Now, there are different stages in this where calls are concerned, but let me deal with the general sense of call. In the general sense of call, when you're calling, you have to know how to call. Because it have different ways you would call people. And let me kind of bring it simple that you could understand. If I had to call somebody in German, I got to use one language, because if I use Spanish, the person in German might not be able to identify that is them are calling. Depending on the distance somebody is, I would have to call harder. So in other words, I would need to create a greater energy, so my effort might have to be greater. And the thing is, the substance for calling is not necessarily carnal. The substance is sometimes what I could put out. The energy that I could put out, it must have a certain characteristic. It must have a certain composition that when I send that out. So for example, it come like you're telling a woman that you love her. You might have to tell her it very soft and nice, and she will understand. But based on the situation, you might have to be trying to sink it in her head and have to tell, you might have to make it sound kind of rough, because you really want to get the message across. And that is something like what? Because spirit does need charm. Spirit works with characteristics. So sometimes you need to be rough. That is why in church worship you don't have one set of music at all. Now I want to come back to calling. When you call in spirit, because this is what we're talking about, spirit, you have to know the energy you create, it is going to cause a vibration. The vibration is going to resonate on a particular frequency, because as much as the spirit deals with vibration, they all resonate, or they all let me say the home is on different frequency. That is a nice way to put it. So then if I need to call a spirit that requires healing, I need to create a particular energy that spirit will know that are calling for a certain relief. Now, don't get caught up with the word spirit, because everything is a spirit. We're talking about unseen things here. Now, when you call, if you use the wrong call, thinking you're using the right call, you'll get the wrong thing coming in. And that's a general statement. Things that, if you create the wrong call, and you're trying to call something positive, you don't think if you create the wrong call, create the wrong energy, and the wrong frequency, something negative will come. That is why sometimes when you see a Thanksgiving or a prayer service going on and manifestation taking place, you see people manifesting, doing something good, and then you see somebody doing something kind of crazy. What means something that seems to be negative then? I use that word crazy because I want to understand sometimes the things that people are doing yet really to understand how come. So, next time you hear people calling, that's why it has some songs when you hear people sing it, far from my heavenly home. You know that song itself telling you the depth of that request. And that way I just had to know to turn the keys for call. Because some keys Some callers require hymns, and some callers require groans, and some callers require songs, and some callers just require you to groan, get a key in the spirit, and bring something real original, something that sometimes people never heard before. You bring that. And when you bring that, you create an atmosphere for something new. Some calls come in mystery. Some calls just come straight. So when you hear somebody calling in the spirit realm, now you hear sometimes you hear the captain or the mother or the prayer just say, or they just groan. Because the communication from the spirit realm is that we need to create a particular atmosphere, because that is the message that coming from the Spirit of God. Create a particular atmosphere, and there are some people that have the keys that knows that this atmosphere need to be created, because they would know somebody now well. Somebody have an exam to go and write, and it has some negative thing going on, stop it. These kind of things is what happening. You know that it has some weight in the church because maybe the minister and the mother are talking. Maybe it have too much of fornication in the church, too much adultery in the church, too much of cussing in the church. Something would give you something. Because if God is what everybody's serving, then God is going to allow his spirit must come to bring things back in a certain gear. And that is why you must understand that you can allow any and anything to manifest in you. Because while you could be thinking this thing that's going to manifest in you is something good, that could be something totally barbarous. Let me give you a nice example of that. People had a choice, and the powers that be of the day decide, I'm going to deliver you now. This is a flip side of the writing. And that power say, you want Jesus or you want Barabbas. Now both of them coming from what God says promise. But Jesus represented positive and good. But Barabbas represented, he was a rebel Jew. So it means that he would do what he have to. He don't have no care in the world. And people say they want that. Let me give you an next example. The people was running in the business of God with the prophet. And they say, but we really want no prophet again, we were king. So we don't really want the spiritual side of the thing. We want the carnal side of the thing. Right? What the world have. And this has always been the trend. People trying to reason spiritual things with worldly knowledge. People trying to create spiritual things in the church with worldly experience. So you find sometimes a man will Larry groan in church. He don't have the groan. The key that he want to entertain, he don't have that key. So then what going to bring that key empty? You see, because God does connect with things on different levels of authority. And because he connects with things on different levels of authority, some atmosphere and certain level could only be created by people that have certain degrees. That is why if you're not a baptizer, do not go in the water and baptize nobody. That's why if you're not a pointer, do not point nobody. Because your frequency is not going to be registered. Your authority is not going to be registered. The key that you have might allow you to do something, but it ain't going to be a proper thing that is going to be done. So all in all, it has so much of different things, saying so much of different things on different levels. So next time you go to church or you go to a Baptist prayers and you hear people, the minister say groan or the mother say let we groan, or you hear people groaning and there no words then coming out, is some spiritual vibration they're trying to create. So they're trying to create the frequency that some spiritual manifestation or the atmosphere could create to bring peace, love, harmony, or healing, but all is really pertaining to the business of Almighty God. So spiritual Baptist conversation, take the knowledge or pass it by. God bless you.